I never expected my wedding to be extravagant. I didn't want the glass chandeliers, the swans and fountains, or some viral TikTok reception. I just wanted love, honest, warm, and witnessed by the people who had raised me, who should have been proud to see me step into this next chapter of life. I never wanted applause, just presence. And most of all, I wanted my parents to be there, not just in body, but in heart. Please subscribe to our channel and tell me in comments from where are you watching this video. Daniel proposed on a quiet afternoon at a small park near our apartment. It wasn't grand, but it was perfect. A simple question, an honest smile, and the kind of love that wraps itself around you without needing to shout. I said yes before he could even finish asking. I'd never been more certain about anything. As we started planning, we agreed on one thing. We didn't want a massive event that felt like performance. We wanted something intimate, peaceful, real. A lakeside venue with soft music, string lights hanging from trees, and a ceremony that felt like an embrace. Every detail reflected us. We invited just 50 people. 50 people who mattered. And of course, I called my parents first. I wanted them to hear it from me before the invitation arrived. I remember pacing the living room with the phone against my ear, smiling nervously as it rang. My mother answered. "Hi, Mom," I said, breathless with excitement. "I have some news. Daniel and I are getting married in September. It's going to be a small ceremony by the lake. We'd love for you and Dad to be there." There was a pause, just a beat too long. Then she sighed, not a happy sigh, not even a confused one, a tired, dismissive one, the kind that already knew how to hurt. "A wedding now? Are you sure that's a smart move?" she asked. "You're not even doing it in a church, right?" I paused, stunned. "No, we just wanted something peaceful, simple, personal." Another sigh. "Honestly, honey, it sounds like a waste of time. All that planning, all that money, for what? You've already been living together. It's not like it's going to change anything." I blinked at the floor. "I'm not asking for anything big," I said softly. "I just want you both there." Then I heard my father's voice in the background. "Tell her we're going to Tom and Eliza's anniversary in October. Can't be running around the country twice for family parties." It hit me like a cold wave. They were already planning something for my brother's 5th wedding anniversary. Flying across the country for it, no less. But they couldn't be bothered to attend my wedding. My first wedding. I mumbled a goodbye, hung up, and sat in silence. Daniel came in and saw the look on my face. He didn't ask. He just sat beside me and let me lean into him. "They said it's a waste of time," I whispered. He kissed my forehead and said, "Then we'll make it a moment they'll regret missing." I smiled, but the wound was already deepening. Over the next few weeks, I tried to give them a chance. I sent them the invite anyway. I called to confirm the date. I even offered to pay for their flight and hotel, anything to make it easier for them. My mom responded with a cold, "We'll see if we can fit it in." They never did. The wedding came. It was everything we wanted. The sky was blushed with peach and gold. Daniel looked at me like I was the only person who had ever existed. My dress wasn't designer, but it felt like magic. My friends cried. His parents hugged me like I was already family. But the 2 empty chairs I had reserved for my parents sat untouched, a quiet reminder that some people will never choose you. Not because you did something wrong, but because they never saw you in the light you deserved. Still, I tried to move on. I wrote them a thank you card anyway. I sent them photos. I even called after the honeymoon to share how beautiful the day had been. They didn't answer. And then, a week later, I opened my phone and saw it. A slideshow of my brother and his wife at a private beach resort. Champagne, flower crowns, a custom cake with 5 years of perfection written in gold icing. My parents in every photo, laughing, clapping, posing proudly in front of a luxury suite balcony. The caption? Celebrating love, family, and 5 unforgettable years with our favorite couple. First class all the way. I stared at it until the screen dimmed and went black. They hadn't even called me on my wedding day, but here they were, spending thousands, smiling without restraint, celebrating another year of my brother's marriage like it was the royal event of the season. And mine? A waste of time. That was the moment something broke. Or maybe it was the moment something inside me finally healed, because for the first time I saw them clearly, not as parents who simply missed a milestone, but as people who had always made room for my brother's light while asking me to shrink my own. After I saw that post, my parents wrapped in luxury, toasting to 5 years of someone else's love, I didn't cry, not immediately at least. I just sat there, phone in hand, heartbeat dull like a drum muffled under layers of cotton. It wasn't just the celebration that hurt. It was the joy they gave so easily to him. Joy they refused to offer me, even for one day. I spent that night rewatching clips from my wedding, Daniel adjusting my veil, my best friend's speech, us dancing barefoot near the water. And in every frame, I noticed something I hadn't realized before. I was smiling, truly smiling, laughing, glowing. Not because of my parents, not because everything went perfectly, but because I had chosen a partner who made me feel whole in ways my own family never had. Still, a part of me couldn't let go. So I did something I hadn't planned. I called my brother. "Hey," I said, my voice light, pretending I hadn't spent the last 10 minutes rehearsing the words. "Hey sis, saw the wedding photos? Looked cozy? Congrats? Cozy? Like we'd thrown a backyard barbecue. Thanks. I saw your anniversary pictures too. Looked expensive." He laughed. "Yeah, Eliza went all out. Mom and Dad flew first class and everything. Crazy, huh?" Not crazy. I'd stopped calling it crazy. I was starting to call it clarity. Did they ever mention my wedding? Like, why they didn't come? There was a pause. A short one, but filled with something uncomfortable. Maybe guilt. Maybe just inconvenience. "Look," he said, his tone shifting. "Mom said it felt rushed. Like you were doing it just to do it. No church, no big celebration. You didn't even invite half the extended family." I swallowed that like a bitter pill. "So because I didn't make it a show, it didn't count?" He hesitated. "You know how they are. Traditions, expectations. They just didn't get it." And that was it. They didn't get it. And maybe they never would. My happiness came wrapped in something they didn't recognize, so they dismissed it as less. But something shifted in me that week. I stopped waiting for their approval. I stopped pretending that maybe one day they'd show up with an apology and a hug. I started building boundaries. Not out of anger, but out of love. For myself. Then, 6 months later, I got a message that would bring the past roaring back. My mother texted, "We'd like to host a dinner for you and Daniel soon. Dad feels bad about missing the wedding. We'll make it up to you." Make it up to me. Daniel saw the message first. He had my phone in hand when it buzzed. He read it silently and handed it over without a word. I stared at it, my mind circling. A dinner, a makeup meal. Like my wedding was a missed movie night. But I agreed. I needed closure, or at least to hear the apology with my own ears. The night of the dinner, I wore the same soft blue dress I had worn to our reception. Something about it made me feel grounded. We arrived at the restaurant, a high-end place they clearly picked to impress. My mother wore her signature pearls. My father stood when we arrived, as if that gesture could undo months of silence. They smiled, overly cheerful, as if they'd never hurt me. Small talk flowed awkwardly. Appetizers came and went. I waited for it, the apology, the acknowledgement. But it never came. Instead, halfway through the main course, my mother said, "You know, Eliza's thinking of doing a vow renewal next summer. A real one. She wants you to help plan it." My fork paused midair. "Excuse me?" I asked, blinking. "She loved your wedding photos. She thought you'd have great taste for something like that." It hit me like a slap wrapped in velvet. They hadn't invited me to share my joy. They had invited me to serve someone else's. I looked across the table. My father was nodding, smiling. Daniel's jaw was tight, and that was the moment I realized I wasn't angry anymore. I was done. I put my fork down gently and said, "I think it's lovely that Eliza wants a vow renewal, but I won't be part of it, and I won't keep bending myself to earn your affection. I got married to the love of my life, and you weren't there. That was your choice. This dinner doesn't fix it." My mother looked stunned. My father opened his mouth, but Daniel took my hand under the table, and I stood. You don't have to understand our wedding, I continued. You just had to show up. And you didn't. That's something I've accepted. But I won't let you make me feel like I'm always less. Not anymore. We left before dessert. Outside, the night air was cool, and I felt lighter than I had in years. Daniel wrapped his arm around me, and I leaned into him, not with sadness, but with strength. I don't know if they'll ever change. I don't know if they'll ever see me as anything but the daughter who didn't follow their script. But I do know this. I chose love. Real, messy, beautiful love. And for the first time in my life, I chose me, even if my parents never will.